Hello, thank you for joining us for today's webinar. It is titled Enhance Analytics with Reltio Data Pipeline for Databricks. Today we'll be doing a joint presentation with Databricks, and we'll be focusing in on learning how the Reltio Data Pipeline for Databricks provides a unified and enriched trusted data to significantly enhance your Databricks analytics and data science capabilities to achieve impactful business results. So before we get started, a few housekeeping items. First of all, you might have noticed we've got a new platform for our Reltio community. So things are a little bit different than they used to be. So first of all, this show will be recorded and posted to the Reltio community. You can access it via the hub that you've just registered through or on the Reltio community shortly after this webinar is completed. Also, we have a hand raising feature, so please raise your hand to participate and ask questions, but stay on mute until the Q&A session is open. So when you raise your hand, you'll have the ability to be seen on camera, and it'll be more of a back and forth dialogue. If you don't want to be on camera, then the other option is to just put questions in the chat and we'll answer them at the end. So, our safe harbor statement, these are forward-looking, there'll be some forward-looking comments within the webinar, and, they are subject to change, and release dates are subject to change depending on the Reltio product team. So here is our agenda. We are going to start it off with our presenters, Atul Singh, who's a senior product manager at Reltio, and Raja Paramal from Databricks. Atul is a technology enthusiast, and he has had over 10 years in product management functions and customer success and solutions consulting. And Raja is a technology alliance director at Databricks, and he has been focused on data governance and business intelligence. And he spent over 10 years in analytics consulting before joining technology firms such as Elation and Snowflake before landing at Databricks. So at this time, I'm going to hand the floor over to Atul to give us a quick overview on Reltio, and then we'll do the same for Raja with Databricks. Atul, over to you.
Thank you. Thanks, Amy, for that introduction. Hey, hi, everyone. Thanks for joining the session today. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are based. So today, in this session, we would be talking about how you can, enhance your analytics, and your AI projects that you're doing in Databricks with the help of, Reltio's trusted interoperable data. So before we jump into the, how we kind of, connect these two solutions using the Reltio data pipeline, I want to talk about first the, the Reltio, Reltio connected data platform. So we'll just start with Reltio, overview probably, then we'll follow up with Raja's, Databricks overview. So Reltio today, it's our connected data platform. So today, if you see, organizations, realize that, in order to respond to the market opportunities and risks, they have to, they feel that they need to have a, holistic data strategy. And in order to build that strategy, they need to bring down the silos and enhance their data practice. So in order to, do that, Reltio modern data platforms comes into the picture. It basically standardizes, enriches, and clean the data in the platform, and provides a trusted interoperable data. Whether it's your and which you can mobilize across your enterprise. Now, this Reltio connected data platform also provides the always the real-time data, which then can be used in your downstream applications, and as well as in the Databricks related systems. With the AI data management and unification capabilities, Reltio provides the data in a very secure, scalable, and flexible way, and in real time. Since it's a SaaS platform, it is It is highly available and foolproof with disaster recovery related features. Moving on to the next slide. Thank you. So Reltio products come today in three different flavors. So first is the Reltio Entity Resolution. So Reltio Entity Resolution provides you, an AI-powered entity resolution to uniquely identify your customers, and it uses our proprietary LLM-based FERN, which is also called Flexible Entity Resolution Network model for matching. Then we have the Reltio multi-domain MDM. So everything you get inside the Reltio entity resolution, you also get inside the Reltio multi-domain MDM. It's a complete platform which provides you all the capabilities like match and merge, reference management, data quality, and much more. And then we have the Reltio Customer 360 data products, which is the in which you get all the other two products, and on top of that you get your more features which are like powered by Gen AI with the conversational UX, which uses our RIA or Reltio Intelligence Assistant, and then and many more capabilities that are built on the AI. So that these are the product flavors that Reltio offers today. Okay, so with that, I'll hand over to Raja. Raja would be able to provide you a quick overview on the Databricks.
Thanks, Atul, and thanks everyone for joining. I'm going to go through a few slides and hopefully pretty quickly in just a few minutes. I think in order to understand why Reltio and Databricks are offering a unique solution, it's important to understand the differentiators of the Databricks data intelligence platform. Next slide. So Databricks solves a very common problem that data-intensive organizations run into frequently, which is there are multiple different workloads that need to be run on a common data platform, which causes issues of data being siloed by workload type, different privacy and control challenges, and finally, each one of these workloads oftentimes require their own technical staff. Next slide. Usually how this problem has been solved in the past is by either choosing a data warehouse, which can be easy to use, simple, and often user-friendly, or choosing a data lake, which will be much more complicated and much more powerful. I kind of use the analogy that you can have a point-and-shoot camera that does a few things really well, or you can have a complicated camera that has an interchangeable lens system, but it's hard to use. And what we've really tried over the last few years is to make that a really powerful camera with the ease of the use of something like a point and shoot, and that's what we call the Databricks Data Lakehouse platform. Next slide. But we have realized that that's not enough. What our users want, they don't just want a simpler to use camera, they want something more akin to the iPhone. And because we have a series of capabilities that use AI, both generative and your traditional flavors, we're able to take the core of our Lakehouse platform and infuse that with intelligence to make sure that our customers can use all of their data workloads, such as AI, data engineering, and traditional data warehouse workloads, and do that much more simply using the power of our AI capabilities. Can we go to the next and hopefully final slide?
Oh, sorry.
No worries. I'm going fast. This is one slide before this, please. So we take we use Unity Catalog, which is our governance platform, to make sure we get the govern the data that's within your open data lake and allow you to use all of your traditional Databricks or Lakehouse capabilities infused with the power of AI to make it a true intelligent platform. So it's not just that you can write SQL against Databricks and our SQL warehouse. You can use English language text to develop SQL queries and visualizations. You can use workflows that are optimized based on past runs using our analysis. You can use Delta Live tables to automate data quality as you build your data pipelines. And finally, you can use our Mosaic AI capabilities to use the data that's in your data intelligence platform to build and serve custom LLMs. All of this is alongside your traditional data warehouse and data lake capabilities. So with that basic overview of the Databricks data intelligence platform, I think I'll turn it back to the Reltio team.
Thank you, Raja. Now we're going to hand it over to Atul so he can give us an overview and a demo of the Reltio data pipeline for Databricks. Atul?
Sure, thank you. So, next slide, please. Great. So, as we know that many organizations use Reltio's connected data platform to improve customer experience and operational efficiency using the high quality and real-time data. At the same time, many of these organizations also use Databricks for data warehousing needs in the cloud. And as Raja explained, Databricks platform enables a wide variety of workloads and applications on any, whether it's any cloud, data warehouses, data lakes, right? It's empowering use cases on business intelligence, data science, and data analytics. Therefore, many customers using both Reltio and Databricks want to easily populate the Databricks with the unified, reliable, enterprise data managed in Reltio. So when the customer has already done the hard work, they have this trusted, unified data in the Reltio platform. They want to use this data, in the Databricks, in order to provide their business users, a data scientists, a single connected source for all data that is updated and in real time. Now, more often we have seen that this would require, manual data preparations that would go on for weeks, and operationalizing use cases normally take time. And also when in the absence of proper data pipeline, you don't or the trusted or good standardized data, you also have faced problem with with data governance and auditability issues. And as a result of it, in absence of that, you also the AI ML model that you've built, the trust in that would be lesser, and the reporting will be suffering. Next slide. So how basically we have designed the Reltio data pipeline for Databricks is that on the left hand side, you can see once you have moved all your data using the either the data loader or our RH capabilities, move the data from legacy system, analytical application, third party sources or transaction system, or whether the data is in some file formats, etc. You can move that data into the Reltio, and then you can start cleansing it, unifying it, enriching it, and you can keep doing this on an ongoing basis as the newer data flows in. Once you have the you have this ready clean standardized data, you can then use the same data from the Reltio tenant and configure the Reltio data pipeline for Databricks and move the data this data into the real time into Databricks. And from the Databricks, then you can access this data to any of your downstream applications or use it for your any of your analytics or AI ML based use cases. Next slide. Right. So I think I've discussed this in a brief, but so how basically we do this is that we kind of use the to move the data from the left hand side. We have the capabilities like data loader and the REST APIs, and once you move the data into the Reltio, right, all the object types that Reltio you create inside the Reltio, like for example your activities, matches, merges, all that data can then be moved into the Databricks Delta Lake, which can then we probably use for as I mentioned your AI ML based use cases. Now the benefits of this doing this data pipeline for Databricks is that it is completely managed by Reltio, so that you don't have to worry about upgrading it from time to time or maintaining it. It's a completely no code kind of experience you get out of it. It is supporting the key Reltio data types, which I'll be talking about in the next slide. You get the near real-time data updates. So any changes that you do in a Reltio tenant are available almost instantly inside the Databricks for you to analyze. It is multi-cloud tenant, so whether your Databricks is supported with AWS, Azure, or GCP. We support all three platforms today. And secure data transfer and cleanup. So we make sure that it is compliant with all the enterprise policies, and it is cost efficient at the same time. So you now talking about the benefits, you get to analyze the latest data. It's compatible with whatever cloud infra provider you're using, and being compliant at the same time. So probably the Reltio tenant users would know that these are some of the data types or objects that are that are created inside the Reltio tenant, whether it's entity, relationship, interaction, matches, merges. So all these data types and objects would be available inside the Databricks. Once you have set up the data pipeline, the data would start syncing from the Reltio to Databricks. Or once we have started the syncing process. Okay. With that, let me dive into the architecture, how basically it works under the hoods. So on the left-hand side, you see the Reltio environment. So the way it works is that we have a Reltio MDM platform service. So whenever there is any event which gets generated, for example, you created a new entity, you updated an entity. So any of those events on the entity objects, so you did some merges, or there is some matches related data being generated. So all those events are captured by the event queue. That event queue then what it does is that it forwards that event to our Databricks connector. Databricks connector picks up that particular event from the event queue, and also at the same time it uses the secret storage for which stores all these secrets to get the access to the customer environment and the Databricks environment. So utilizing that, it moves it writes all those events data into a JSON format into a staging area inside the customer environment. So probably, it could be inside a VPC or inside a VPC inside an AWS environment. So once the data is stored in a staging layer or a staging bucket, the data is then Amy, the screen has gone off. Is it for me or is it for everyone? Okay, it's back. Okay. So yeah. So once the data has landed into the staging layer, then what our Databricks connectors does is that it uses the delta live tables to process this data using the logic or the code that we have written using the notebooks inside the notebooks, and moves this data into the delta tables. So once the data is available in the delta table, it is available for the users to consume it in a way they would like to. So they can then operationalize this for any of their use cases. So the data would then continuously keep flowing. As soon as the event is generated, Databricks picks up the event, moves it to staging layer, delta live table picks up the event from the JSON file layer and processes into delta table, and you can then connect your downstream applications accordingly to achieve any use cases. So this is the architecture of our Databricks data pipeline. Okay, with that we'll show all this in live action, like how this works. How we kind of set it up, and we move the data. So inside the Reltio console, you can come to the Cloud Data Warehouse pipeline and then choose the Databricks option. Then from here you have to populate some basic details, provide the cloud providers. You can use any of the authentication mechanism. So here we are using the key secret option. Then you have to provide your S3 staging bucket since it's AWS, and then provide the target bucket. You probably can provide the staging bucket region. It's optional. And then you have to provide your Databricks configuration related details. You can also choose the number of cluster you want. And you can also choose whether you want to run it continuously or you want to run it on a trigger basis if you don't want to, spend too much on the clusters. After once you've provided the basic instance profile and AWS related details, you can also choose the storage format and click and save. Once you save, the data pipeline gets created. You can choose to disable or enable it from the status. Now we will look. Once we have set up this pipeline, we need to trigger this pipeline. So here we are using Databricks API to kind of trigger this pipeline. So once we have triggered this pipeline, we will go back. So it is successful. Now we'll go back and initiate the syncing process. So from here, what it will do is that it will start syncing all the historical data from the data pipeline from the Reltio tenant to the Databricks. So now inside the Databricks, we'll go to the Delta Live table and see how that data pipeline that we created is getting readied. So you can see that this is currently running. So now that it has completed almost all of these steps, now we can go and look at the data sets that gets created inside the Databricks since we have restarted the sync process. So you can see that the data sync has already started, and we can see the rows there. Now what we are doing is that we are coming here on the Reltio tenant, and what we'll try to do is that we'll see that how when we create an individual entity, how this gets created and synced in real time. So now here I'm creating an individual named Jane Doe, and I'm creating this individual. So once I've created this individual, we'll see how this gets synced almost in real time in the Databricks. So I'll copy the entity URI ID also for this so that I can query this particular record. So we'll go to the Databricks and we'll try to query this particular record. So if you were to see, then you can see that this record now has been synced to the Databricks. So now we'll also look at how you can also use Unity Catalog option. So the Unity Catalog option is going to come up in the next month. So right now it is supported through API. So we're going to give you an overview how you can set up Unity Catalog through the APIs. From the UI, it will be available from the next month onwards. So here we are configuring the data pipeline in the tenant and setting up the catalog. So what we'll do is that instead of the the target bucket that we used, we will be landing the data in the Unity catalog. So here I would what I would do is that I would remove this bucket name and I would add the catalog as a target options. So that way it will land the data into the Unity catalog instead of a bucket. So I have already created a catalog, so I will use that during the configurations. I'll copy this one and then add this to the configuration. So this way, you can see that we have configured it. Similarly, once this way we have configured this using the Unity catalog as well. So this concludes our demo. Amy, can you go back to the last slide? after this, there was one slide, I guess. Yeah. So what you get, for the benefits of Databricks pipeline is that you get improved quality of recommendation insights, given that Databricks is now running using the trusted enriched data from the Reltio tenant. You get this reduced cost and overall lower TCO for your data integration and orchestration. Increased trust in AI/ML and analytical system, given that Reltio is continuously enriching and standardizing the data and then moving to Databricks. So any systems built on top of Databricks would have this trusted data and ultimately increase the trust in the AI/ML analytical system. So with that, I probably would start with Q&A. Amy, over to you.
Thank you very much, Atul. I think we're going to have a poll question before we start Q&A. Let's see, there we go. So are you currently using the Reltio data pipeline feature to export to Databricks? So we've got yes, no, and we plan to use the solution. So if you guys could vote on that. Okay, and in the meantime, the other place you guys can go if you want to get a copy of the solution brief that we have a link to there. If you go under the resources tab on the right, you'll be able to see the solution brief. Please feel free to download it, or you can also access it from the hub that you logged in on. Okay. All right, just a few more minutes, or a few more seconds, we'll close the question, and then we'll move to Q&A. So, oh, sorry, Gino, I just saw the thing about the architecture. Let's see, here's the first one. Can we import data from Databricks back to Reltio? Atul, that probably sounds like a question for you or your team.
Great question. So right now it's a one-way one-way direction moving the data from the Reltio to Databricks. At present, this capability is not there to move the data from Databricks back to Reltio, but we are looking into enhancing this data pipeline probably in an upcoming releases to provide some kind of sync back from Databricks to Reltio.
Okay, awesome. Here's the next one. What platforms are supported by Databricks? Hold on.
So I think, as I mentioned in one of my slides, that we support all three platforms. So whether your cloud infra is there on the AWS, GCP, or Azure, we support all three cloud platforms. So you can configure this data pipeline with either of these three.
Okay, and here's another one for you. Can we modify the notebooks provided by Reltio?
That's a good one. So customers can modify the notebooks in case if they are if they need to put in some some of their own business logic, or they want to play around with the data, and there are cases where the customers have highly secure environment where they do not allow Reltio to reach out to Databricks environment to copy over these notebooks. So we provide these notebooks to customer so that they can themselves configure this. But the downside to it is that they would have to take care of the future upgrades in case they decide to modify the notebooks, or they choose to take the notebooks and implement it themselves. So we can provide notebooks.
Okay. Here's another. Wow, we got a lot of questions today. The next one is, my staging bucket is inside of VPC. Will Reltio data pipeline be available to connect?
Yes. So we should be able to connect. provided the customer are able to, open up their VPC for Reltio. So we can provide some IP addresses which, customer can whitelist and allow the Reltio to kind of Reltio Databricks service to reach out to the VPC or connect to the Databricks environment inside VPC. So we can do that.
Okay. And here's another one. What technology is used for the staging area?
There isn't, technology. I would say it's a bucket. So it could be if you're using AWS, it's an S3 bucket. So we'll be, loading the data into an S3 bucket, which is the staging area or a staging bucket, you can call it, in a JSON files. So that where we load the staging area, that's where after that we use the Delta live tables to read the data from those files and move the data to Delta tables in the target bucket or the catalog.
Okay. And here's another one from Sagar. Are we copying data from the Reltio data platform to Data Lake? To Delta Lake?
Yes. So yes. So you have that option. So there are two options today. With you want to use the Hive Metastore option or the catalog Unity catalog option. So you have both the option to where you can land the data in a Delta Lake format.
All right, and I think this is the last one. So everybody get their questions in if you want to ask something. And that is, are there any downstream Databricks AI analytics use cases where customers are especially excited to use the pipeline?
So, normally what we have seen the customers is that, for building the real-time dashboards, some of the downstream real-time applications. These are the typical use cases which our customers have been using the Reltio data pipeline for, because again, as I mentioned, that it provides the very clean, enriched data in real time. So those systems are rely on getting the real-time data. So those are some of the common use cases which have been there.
Okay. We got a couple more. Just one second. Here's one. In case of banking applications, do we need to implement a mechanism for faster retrieval or golden records that will be handled by default? And I might add, Atul, we're firing all the questions at you, but Raja, please feel free to speak up if you would like to contribute, any additional color from what Atul is saying.
Yeah, these are mostly Reltio questions, which Atul doing a great job fielding. I'll toss in on this one. Databricks, as long as the data is in your Delta environment, you can take advantage of capabilities like Delta caching that comes automatically when you have your data in Databricks. So this is one of the benefits of our connectors. You get the capabilities of Reltio and you get the built-in capabilities of Databricks.
Okay. And Atul, do you have anything else on this question, or we can move to the next one? You guys are just full of questions
I think Raja has covered that well.
Okay, awesome. So the next one is, does the Databricks connector work today for customers deploying Reltio's data product solution?
Yes, Databricks connector is available in all three, Reltio's products that we showed on the screen in the slides today. So it is available for all three products.
Awesome. And I think this is the last one, unless somebody adds one at the last minute. Is it possible to create a graph-based RAG on top of the exported data, and how complex is it to build those graphs from relationships and entities table?
Is it possible to create a graph-based RAG on top of the exported data? So that would be a question for Raja. I think that.
As long as the data is landed within your Delta Lake environment, you can attach it or build data pipelines to your RAG-based architecture. Of course, with this, the devil's in the details. With Databricks, we give you a lot of different ways to solve this particular use case. But yeah, you can load that data into your vector search in Databricks and attach it to your RAG-based architecture.
Okay. Is there any more questions? Was there anybody, sorry guys, I think we mentioned it before, this is a new system. So is there anybody in the face-to-face questions or is that all the questions that we have? Okay, I think that is all. Well, thank you very much for attending. Atul and Raja, you did a great job answering everybody's questions and on the presentation, and thank you for sharing your insight and experience. And I'll leave it one more time for any last final questions or thoughts. Okay, and then again, another reminder, you can download the solution brief on the resources tab on the right-hand side, and any other questions that you think of after the session has ended, please reach out on Reltio community. And thank you for your time and have a wonderful rest of your day. Goodbye.
Thank you. Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone. Thanks, brother.